Hey everyone, this is the second video on joint ventures. If you have watched my earlier video, I mentioned that a joint venture, a traditional joint venture, is where two or more companies come together to incorporate, to set up a joint venture company, a special purpose vehicle to undertake some kind of big project. So each of these two or more companies will be shareholders in the joint venture company. So it is important to have a joint venture agreement setting out the rights and obligations between the two or more joint venture partners. Now, so today I'm going to discuss the very important clauses that should be contained in the joint venture agreement. Firstly, there should be a clause on the board of directors. The clause should specify how many directors each joint venture partner can appoint to the board of the joint venture company called JVCo. I will call it JVCo now. So, the quorum means the minimum number of people that have to be present before a meeting can take place. The clause on the quorum should also include all the directors of the joint venture partner. Otherwise, a meeting can take place without one of the directors appointed by a particular shareholder of JVCo. Next, shareholders meeting. It is also important to include a quorum which states that all the shareholders of JVCo have to be present before the shareholders meeting can take place. Otherwise, a shareholders meeting can take place without one or two or more shareholders, and they can pass resolutions which the other shareholders may not agree with. Next important clause, business and management of JVCo. Who conducts the day-to-day affairs? Is it one JV partner, two JV partner? What are the responsibilities of each JV partner? Is the day-to-day affairs conducted by the managing director, by a management team? These should be set out clearly in the JV agreement. Next, dividend policy. This is very important to avoid disputes. So the dividend policy should state how often dividends are paid, the minimum amount of dividends that are paid. For example, no less than 70% of net profits or no less than 50% of net profit should be paid every year. The next important provision for joint venture agreements are anti-dilution provisions. What are anti-dilution provisions? These are provisions that prevent the company from issuing shares, to other people, which will dilute your existing shareholding if you do not subscribe for more shares. So, the clause should say something like, if the company intends to issue additional shares, new shares, debentures, warrants, or instruments which are convertible into shares and allow the instrument holder to attend and vote at meetings, then all existing shareholders have the same equal right, according to their percentage, to subscribe for such additional shares, so that their shareholdings are not diluted by the new shares that are issued. There should also be a reserve matter list. What are reserve matters? Reserve matters are things that the company cannot do unless unless all the shareholders consent to it. So examples include changing the name of JVCo, setting up a subsidiary, incurring expenses more than a certain sum, for example 100,000, taking loans, the JVCo taking loans, creation of material encumbrances. Encumbrances means like charges, liens, where the company's assets are charged. Another example of a reserve matter would be the approval of the JVCo's annual operating budget and the business and strategic plan, change to the maximum and minimum number of directors of JVCo, acquisition or disposal of any assets of the JVCo. The joint venture agreement should also include information rights for shareholders. For example, they have the right to see or view quarterly, annual management accounts, Such accounts can include detailed profit and loss account, balance sheet and cash flow statements prepared in accordance with the international financial reporting standards, and other informations which the shareholders from time to time may require or request. The final important clause that has to be included in a joint venture agreement is the deadlock mechanism. What is a deadlock mechanism? It means that the joint venture partners cannot agree to something. For example, there's a dispute over one of the reserve matters. Two of the joint venture partners want to take out a $1 million loan from a bank, but one of the joint venture partners refuses, so there is a deadlock. So there are many different kinds of deadlock mechanisms to solve the deadlock. Examples include Russian roulette, Texas shootout, Mexican shootout, and there are also multi-choice procedures. You can Google these online, the different deadlock mechanisms, to find out how they operate. Usually it is one party offering to buy out the other party so that the deadlock is solved and they can proceed with the transaction. So thanks for watching this video on the important clauses in joint venture agreements.